expect the unexpected. They came for the gold, but the best they'll do is bronze. The U.S. men's basketball team in live action against Australia. In women's volleyball, the gold is on the line. The Soviet women try to set and spike their way past Peru. And the hottest woman in Seoul burns her way to another gold and a 200-meter world record. Watch FloJo go ahead this morning. Everybody, welcome to our continuing morning coverage of the games of the 24th Olympiad. Gail Gardner, along with Jane Pauley and Jimmy Cefalo, we are once again coming to you live from the International Broadcast Center in Seoul, Korea. Now, the focus of our program this morning is track and field. We will have live coverage of the completion of the decathlon. You will also have another chance to see the Joyner family go crazy. You will see FloJo's world record in the 200 meters and Jackie's Olympic record in the long jump. We'll also have live action from the women's gold medal volleyball game, and we'll go live to the men's bronze medal basketball game between the United States and Australia. But that is not all this morning. Jane has more on what's ahead.
Well, Gail, speaking of basketball and medals, we'll be joined here in the studio by the coach of the United States women's basketball team, which last night won the gold. The Americans overcame a pesky Yugoslavian team 77-70, and Coach Kay Yao will be with us, Jimmy.
Jane and Gail, the headlines this morning center around a group of American women. Jackie Joyner-Kersee and Florence Griffith Joyner both fulfilled their Olympic expectations by capturing their second gold medals of these games. Joyner-Kersee took the gold in the long jump, adding it to the gold she previously won in the heptathlon. Her winning jump of 24.3½ inches set an Olympic record. Meanwhile, Florence Griffith Joyner dominated the field of the 200-meter dash. In capturing her second gold medal of the games, Griffith Joyner broke 2 world records. She set a new mark in the semis and then bettered it 90 minutes later in the finals. And finally, as Jane mentioned, the United States women's basketball team succeeded where the men failed, capturing the gold medal with a 77-70 win over Yugoslavia. Teresa Edwards led the Americans with 18 points. Yeah.
Thank you, Jimmy. For you and everyone else who watched our late-night coverage last night, you probably realized that the track and field events were running considerably behind schedule. And what that means for us is that the decathlon is still going on. Britain's Daley Thompson, the 2-time defending champ, had a bit of a scare breaking his pole during the pole vault competition, but he did continue on. So let's go live to Olympic Stadium to Dick Enberg to find out what's happened since then.
This is one of the poignant moments in all of sport. The final event of the decathlon. The 1,500 meters, a final grueling, grinding run to end 2 punishing days of competition. I say poignant because there's great irony in the decathlon. The man who wins it will be acclaimed the world's greatest athlete, and yet he'll do it basically with very few cheers. The competition will end here in Seoul, Korea in the late evening, just as it has throughout history. Jim Thorpe, Bob Mathias, Milt Campbell, Bill Toomey, Rayford Johnson, Bruce Jenner, and Daley Thompson, who has won it twice for Great Britain and is in this competition. They all finished the same way after 4 years of training, basically alone. They are the lonesome soldiers in this sport. And then when their moment comes, very few will be here to cheer them on. And yet they'll be remembered as well as any athletes out of these 1988 games. And Daley Thompson, Dwight Stones, he's trying to put his name in the history book.
That's right, Dick. He came into this competition hoping to be the first man to ever win 3 decathlon titles. And he's hanging on by a thread. It'll come down to the last event, the 1,500 meters, and we'll be here to see it.
We wait for the start, so to bring you up to date, let's go to yesterday and the first 5 events.
We started the first day of the decathlon with questions about the fitness of Daley Thompson. Was he ready to defend his 2 Olympic gold medals? But 3-time world record holder Jürgen Hinkson didn't even get a chance to start. 3 false starts in the 100 meters, he's out of the meet. Some of the answers started to surface in the long jump. A strong event for Daley Thompson. He had a poor performance, and this man, Christian Plagiat, had the best mark in the event and took over the lead. In the third event, the shot put, Christian Schenk of East Germany started to make his move. With this personal record, he went from 9th place to 5th place, and the charge was on.
And so after the sprint, long jump, and shot put, Olympic decathlon champion, 2 times champion, Daley Thompson of Great Britain in the lead, going for history.
Torsten Voss, in the same mold as Bruce Jenner, not great in any one event, just consistent throughout. Then the fourth event, the high jump, and Christian Schenk, converted high jumper turned decathlete, makes his move, tying the world best at 7.5 1/4. Thompson struggled in the 400, and we knew it was going to take everything he had in the second day. Newcomers, Plaziat and Voss, straining for the tape in the 400, happy that the first day was over. And Christian Schenk, the leader after the first day, giving everything he had in the final event, waiting for the rest, prepared for the next day. And Daley Thompson, did he have one more good day left in him?
So after the first day, Schenk of East Germany the leader, Plaziat, Daley Thompson, Torsten Voss the top 4. We'll return to Olympic Stadium for today's final 5 events after this.
NBC Sports presents the games of the 24th Olympiad, brought to you by Coca-Cola and your local Coca-Cola bottler. You can't beat the feeling. By the new generation of Oldsmobile. Step into the future now at your Oldsmobile dealer. And by Andersen Windows. Come home to quality. Come home to Andersen.
Welcome back to Olympic Stadium. It's late evening. We're awaiting the final event of the men's decathlon, the 1,500 meters. First, a review of the other 4 events today. Dwight?
In the first event of day 2, the 110-meter hurdles, Christian Plaziat runs within 3/100ths of a second of his personal record and temporarily retakes the lead from Schenk. And then Christian Schenk stepped into the discus circle and promptly threw a personal record to retake the lead.
The 8th event, the pole vault, and a frightening moment.
Dick, every pole vaulter's worst nightmare come true. Daley Thompson, right in the middle of the jump, breaks the pole and incurs an injury that dogs him throughout the rest of the competition. On his third attempt, Christian Schenk equals his personal record in the pole vault with a clearance of 15 feet 5 inches. You always keep an eye on the man who is having scores near or better than his personal record to see who will win the meet. And Christian Schenk has had 4 personal bests. An American bright spot in the pole vault, Tim Bright. And a decathlon world best, 18 feet, 8 1/4 inches. Vaults him into contention in 5th place overall. Then, a nice surprise by Daley Thompson. An excellent throw in the javelin. Rekindled thoughts that he may still have a chance. Then out of nowhere, Canadian Dave Steen, after a very solid performance the second day, stepped up for the second round throw in the javelin and promptly put himself into contention with 210 feet 6 inches. The reason he's in contention, he's an excellent 1,500-meter runner. Then our leader, Christian Schenk, responds with a solid performance in the javelin, 201 feet 2 inches.
So 9 of 10 events complete. 2 East Germans lead the way. Schenk and Voss. Daley Thompson, defending champion, is 3rd, and American Tim Bright in 4th place.
Bob Trumpy and Chris Marlowe at Hanyang University, the gold medal match in women's volleyball. You see Peru upsetting the Soviet Union. They win game 1 15-10, lead game 2 11-9. The Soviet Union has won either the gold or silver all 5 times it has competed in women's volleyball. And Coach Nikolai Karpol is screaming his lungs out at his young ladies, but they are beginning to play a little bit better, Chris Marlowe.
Well, I think the big story of the match is mentally, I think the Soviets came out a little down after beating China. They were not in it in game 1. They had a lot of service errors. Peru played very well, and the Soviets are just now starting to find their rhythm, but the Peruvian team has been playing well, and it's a very tight match right now. Soviet with 4 unanswered points. And if there is a statistic in the game that is proving the problem for the Soviets have 4 service aces and 9 service errors. And then Bok Park, the coach of Peru, his young ladies, 7 service aces, just 3 service errors. And Peru is playing out of their mind, and the Soviets are helping them by not playing very well at all. There's another bad pass to the net. Parhomchuk tries to get it over. That's side out to the Soviet Union. Will continue after a word from your local station.
The games of the 24th Olympiad were live at 9:17 in the evening in Seoul, at 7:17 in the morning, New York time. One heat, 17 men who had no chance to medal have competed well. And just to finish this grueling 10 event, decathlon had smiles on their face. And now for the medals. And there's the man going for an unprecedented 3rd gold. He can't do that, Dwight.
No, he can't. But then there were rumors that he wouldn't even run the final event. He has his leg heavily taped. You could see some tape on his fingers from the accident with the pole vault. He did continue in that event and was able to make a couple of heights. He stayed in contention. He is currently 3rd, but he is not a strong 1,500-meter runner, and he really is displaying the essence of the event. He's participating, and he's completing.
Now, the last name we saw was Dave Steen of Canada. He is currently in 8th place, but has a real shot at a bronze.
Dick, Dave Steen, who has been competing internationally for years, is a very good 1,500-meter runner. Look for him to force the pace in this particular competition, a pace that Thompson will not be able to follow. But Steen should win this race, and then it's a matter of how far the leaders finish behind him to see what the order of finish will be. Christian Schenk is almost a lock for the gold medal, but Steen could move into bronze or silver. There he is in the red from Canada. He could move as high as silver and a good chance at the bronze medal depending on how far he beats some of the other competitors. There's our leader, Christian Schenk of East Germany. He knows exactly how easily he can run. He's not going to have to try and push himself to the limit. He'll just make sure that he is in position to finish with a gold medal that should be his now.
1,500 meters, 3 3/4 laps. It doesn't sound like much when you compare it to some of the other races we see here in Olympic Stadium, but after 2 long days, they've been here since just after 8 o'clock this morning.
Almost 13 hours from when that gun first went off for the 110-meter hurdles, and Simon Shirley of Australia takes the lead early, and I expect to see Dave Steen take over the race certainly before the halfway point.
And you see Daley Thompson, he's 3rd from last at the moment. He would have to finish within 20 seconds of Steen to earn the bronze, and he is laboring. Look at the tape.
What a veteran. He knows exactly what he'll have to do. If he feels he's got a chance to hang on to that bronze medal, believe me, he is the ultimate, the consummate competitor. Expect him to be in it as long as he can stay there.
Talk about the U.S. competitor in 4th place, Tim Bright. Does he have a chance?
Unfortunately, Dick, he's a terrible 1,500-meter runner. He really has not made the full commitment to the decathlon. You can see that by what a great pole vaulter he still is. If he would make the commitment, I think he could be one of the better decathletes in the world.
That's Bright moving past Daley Thompson on the far side. They've completed a lap. 2 3/4 to go, and it must seem like 10 miles. What drives a man to want to even perform in this decathlon? So little credit, and you work 4 years for the one moment.
And you're always competing in front of a very small crowd, whether it's in the biggest invitational, the smallest invitational, or even the Olympic Games. You can see all of the empty seats here at Olympic Stadium. And it has to be pride. It has to be going for everything that you've got left in you. There's Christian Schenk watching the clock so closely. He knows the gold medal is his. He can only lose it. It can't be taken away from him.
He just has to stay on his feet. This Schenk of East Germany. Torsten Voss, who won the World Championship, decathlon at Rome. You saw that last fall, is in second place. He, too, has the silver if he runs decently.
They're just pacing themselves. They know they don't want to go out too fast. They don't want to drop too far off a pace for a time that they have chosen in advance of this race. They know exactly within a second what they're capable of, and they know exactly what they need in order to move up or to maintain the positions that will garner the medals.
Dave Steen is the second man in red. He is 4, 6, 7th currently, and he from Canada. Wouldn't that be a story? Steen coming out of nowhere. He went to University of California, Berkeley a couple of years, now at the University of Toronto. And after the great humility and disappointment surrounding Canada sprinter Ben Johnson, for him to capture a medal out of nowhere would bring some smiles, overdue smiles, to our friends to the north.
It certainly would, and he's running an intelligent race. He's staying within himself, and then he's going to position himself where he can make a move and just hope that he's able to widen the gap between where he is in 8th place at this point and trying to get into 3rd or 2nd. And the bell lap.
1 lap to go. The gold, silver, and bronze. Apparently the East Germans will take the gold and the silver. Schenk and Voss. Daley Thompson and Dave Steen. That's the race. Steen, if he beats Thompson by 20 seconds, will take the bronze from him. And here comes Thompson, just entering his last lap.
And Steen is starting to put on a drive now. He's certainly more than 20 seconds ahead of Thompson. Daley does not appear as though he is capable of putting on any kind of a sprint. Now it's just a matter of how far does Steen finish in front of Tarnavetsky, the Soviet, and how far in front of Plajat he finishes as to whether he can move into the 3rd position. It appears as though Thompson has no chance to be able to make up the distance between himself and Dave Steen.
Here they come down the home stretch, the leaders. No one there will figure in a medal.
But Dave Steen is driving everything he has left.
Here comes Steen.
Christian Schenk is finishing strongly. Steen leaning for the tape. He knows every one of those 20 seconds counts. Thompson is putting everything he's got into the final 100 meters, perhaps the last decathlon in the Olympic Games that we will see Daley Thompson run, his 4th Olympic Games. He needs to run 4:42 to hang on to the bronze. He is not going to manage that, and the dream ends here.
So Daley Thompson competes well, but will not medal, and the surprise of the 1988 decathlon is Dave Steen of Canada. He has taken the bronze behind 2 East Germans. Steen, 28 years old, still studying at the University of Toronto, following in the footsteps of his father, who was a Canadian Olympian. And there is your gold medal winner and the man who has captured the bronze. And the grueling, grinding, punishing 2 days of competition is complete. They have sprinted, they have thrown, they have vaulted, they have leaped, they have hurdled, they have endured. And the gold medal, the world's greatest athlete, to East Germany's Christian Schenk.
Bob Trumpy along with Chris Marlowe were in the gold medal match in women's volleyball. And the Peruvians are playing the match of their lives. They lead the Soviets 2-0. They trail in game 3, 4-2, but playing very well. This is Sidorienko. She hits it into the block. And the Soviets now get a point. That's Man-Bok Park, the coach of the Peruvian team. He's Korean. Been coaching in Peru since 1974. Outside. Ooh, nice stuff blocked that time by the Soviets. That's a good sign for them. Nikolai Karpol takes a timeout. Let's see if his voice has dropped a register here. He was screaming at his ladies.
Внимательно смотри. Внимательно на блоке. Сколько она может гулять от блока за? Смиря внимательно прыгать. Прыгать от блока за можно стрелять. Не обязательно просто так бить. Внимательно готовиться. И сзади линии готовиться, и спереди. Значит, Валик, когда вдвоем на линии, будь за головой. Поехали внимательно. Все.
I don't believe you need any lesson in Russian to understand as an athlete what the coach was saying. You're not getting it done, ladies.
Well, if there was ever a pep talk, that was one right there.
Soviets serve. They lead in game 3, 6-2. They trail 2-0 to Peru. For Homchuk. Sidorienko stuffed right back at her. That was Garcia and Torrealba.
The taller Soviets, they're being blocked at the net, and I think they're just not moving the ball around the block. They're trying to hit off the hands, and they're spiking the ball too low. They need to upgrade a little.
Sidorienko kept alive. Stuffed off the hands. Point Peru. 6-3. Soviets lead in game 3. Torrealba serves. Oh, bad pass again. Sidorienko dinks it over. Kept alive. Perez. Cecilia Tait. Soviets into the net. Soviets lead 6-4 in game 3. Now we'll go to basketball.
Tom Hammond and Al McGuire at the Chomshill Gymnasium. The bronze medal game in men's basketball. The U.S. against Australia. Opening minute of the game, Dan Marley with an interception. And Andrew Gaze of Australia has given the Aussies a 3-0 lead. Charles Smith misses the layup, and Australia has the rebound. Coach, this is history somewhat. The United States playing in the bronze medal game for the first time. They've never played in anything but the championship game. What about consolation contests? How does a team approach them?
Most difficult thing in the world as a coach is to go out there and play a consolation game. They've stopped it in the Final Four in the NCAA. It's awful hard to get your club up. They're depressed. Everyone wants to play for the gold. I think it'll take 3, 4, 5 minutes for the USA to get into sync to say, hey, a bronze medal is much better than no medal.
Right now, Australia with a 3-0 lead. Lob to David Robinson inside, and he lays it in. First 2 for the U.S. team.
Token pressure up court.
Carroll's shot for 3 is not there, and Richmond rebounds for the U.S. 3-on-3. Richmond pulls up and hits.
Smythe was waiting to take a charge that time. Richmond changed directions in the air. He's an unbelievable athlete, Mitch Richmond.
And he's given the U.S. the first lead of the game. We've played 2 minutes. Danny Manning reaches in and commits the foul, and of course it was foul trouble that got Manning into trouble against the Soviets. He committed 2 fouls in the first 2 minutes of the game and sat on the bench the rest of the first half, never got into sync, and never scored in the game against the U.S. You see the foul trouble that Danny Manning has been in. Borner lays it in. Raymond Borner of Australia gives the Aussies a 5-4 lead. Here's Manning. Still hasn't scored in 2 games. Rebounded by Senstock of Australia. And the Aussies up court leading by a point.
Manning's on a snide. I wonder if Coach Thompson will take him out in the first half here. He picks up a second foul. He's done it all tournament.
Gaze misses. Marley on the other end lays it home.
See, where's the pressure? Ever since Canada, Pasquale broke the pressure in a one-on-one, every team's been doing it. Just giving it to their small man, and he brings it up by himself. The other 4 teammates put down court. Smythe can hit from there.
Missed that one, however, and Robinson has the rebound. The outlet to Charles Smith. Marley, good.
Give little Charlie credit for that. Here comes pressure this time. Should double team when a pass comes in.
Biggest lead for the U.S. team.
No double team.
Gaze walks it into front court. Andrew Gaze, who is on his way to Seton Hall. He's open. Had to make a great catch to save the ball. Sengstock. That's a 2-point shot, but Sengstock with his first bucket of the game pulls Australia within 1. Manning still can't buy one.
Manning's picking up foul trouble because they're taking him out in the open court. Manning's more used to covering in between. These fellas that play relatively close to the basket. See, they got Manning on the wing over there. They'll drive him, try to make him pick up a second personal.
Manning knocks it out of bounds. U.S. leading Australia 8-7. Let's go back to Jane Pauley.
We will be going back to that basketball game. We have more track and field, but this is also a very big news day. It's launch day for the Space Shuttle Discovery. Let's go to Studio 3B in New York. And good morning, John Palmer. It's going to be a long day for you.
Yes, indeed. Good morning, Jane. But at Cape Canaveral, NASA officials have announced a delay in the scheduled launch of the Discovery, the space shuttle redesigned to put Americans back in space for the first time since the Challenger tragedy 32 months ago. NBC News correspondent Tom Brokaw has the latest from the Cape. Good morning, Tom.
John, it's going to be a long day for us, but it's going to be an especially long day for all the people connected with NASA, and that includes the 5 astronauts who are now suited up, but they're in a 1-hour hold here at the Kennedy Space Center for a highly unusual reason. No one can ever remember a launch being delayed because of high altitude, lighter than usual winds. At about 30,000 feet, the winds this morning are lighter than usual. That means that the computers on board the Discovery would have to be reprogrammed because they're programmed for stiffer winds, and that could severely alter the course of the shuttle. They wouldn't have time to do that because the launch window here is at 1:59. It's now been extended 1 hour, about 2 o'clock this afternoon Eastern time. After that, they can't launch today because it's too dark in the emergency landing sites across the ocean. The astronauts did get up on time this morning. They had their breakfast, and they are now getting suited up in the space pressure suits that they'll be wearing on all future flights. You see in the orange suit in the foreground there, that's Rick Houck, who is the commander of this flight. He's a veteran of the shuttle mission, of course. He's a former Navy test pilot and a combat veteran of Vietnam. Everyone wants to do this one just right, of course, because it is the first launch 32 months after the Challenger disaster. These 5 veteran astronauts will be going up today in an effort to get NASA back on track and the shuttle program back on track. We'll be keeping you updated here all morning long from the Kennedy Space Center, but for now, they're taking another reading. The winds at about 30,000 feet are just too light for a safe launch. Now back to you, John, in New York.
Thanks, Tom. In other news, security at the Olympics in Seoul has been beefed up to guard against the possibility that radical students might make good on their threats to disrupt some of the competition. Today, about 1,000 students clashed with police for the second day outside the gates of Korea University. The protesters, shouting "Down with the dictator's Olympics" and "Yankee go home," hurled dozens of firebombs. For a time, police showed remarkable restraint in the face of the firebomb attacks, but then they charged into the students. A cameraman for a U.S. television network was hospitalized after being hit by a firebomb. The students are demanding the release of a jailed student leader. The governments of the United States and Great Britain have criticized Israel's use of lethal plastic bullets against Palestinian protesters in the Israeli-occupied territories. The State Department said there is no justification for a policy admittedly designed to cause an increase in casualties. There is continuing speculation this morning about tomorrow's emergency meeting of the Soviet Central Committee in Moscow. Soviet Foreign Minister Shevardnadze abruptly left New York last night, taking the red-eye flight to Moscow amid speculation about a major shakeup in the hierarchy of the Soviet Communist Party. In politics, Democratic presidential candidate Michael Dukakis met with Shevardnadze shortly before the Soviet foreign minister left for Moscow. Dukakis said that he would build on what President Reagan has begun to improve superpower relations. For his part, Shevardnadze denied that he or his government favors the election of George Bush. Bush, on a bus tour through central and upper Illinois on Wednesday, criticized the Dukakis proposal to step up enforcement of tax collections by the Internal Revenue Service. Said Bush, the IRS can be high-handed. Sometimes, he said, it treats innocent people as if they were presumed guilty. Out west, there is still a problem with forest fires. In California, near the town of Fontana, 50 miles east of Los Angeles, Santa Ana winds fanned the flames of several fires. Homes were burned, lots of people forced from their homes. Interstate 15, the main link between Los Angeles and Las Vegas, was closed for a time when flames leaped across it. Meanwhile, at Yellowstone National Park, about 1,800 firefighters are still on the lines there, battling blazes that have scorched half of the 2.2 million acres of the park. And it's now 37 after the hour. That's it from this desk in New York. Let's check in now down to Washington and Willard Scott.
Good morning and all aboard.
Well, they did it in St. Louis, Kansas City, and Indianapolis, and now they're doing it in Washington, D.C. Union Station, one of the prettiest railroad stations in America, in the world for that matter, being rededicated today after having been rejuvenated. It is a beautiful spot. One of the great tourist attractions when you come to Washington. You'll want to see it. It's cold this morning. Saranac Lake, New York is 27 degrees, a touch of fall in New England. By tomorrow morning, some frost warnings will be posted throughout the valleys of New England. Today, look out for severe weather in Texas, Arkansas, and eastern Oklahoma. Heavy rains, 3 to 5 inches. Santa Ana winds in California. Driving temperatures to 90 degrees in San Francisco and almost near 100 in Los Angeles. And fog this morning in the central Appalachians. Here's what's happening in your world, even as this conductor conducts.
Good morning. I'm Mike Burish with today's forecast. It'll be mostly cloudy with showers and thunderstorms redeveloping this afternoon. South to southeast winds 10 to 15, the high 70.
Gertrude Zerfus of Sabine, Ohio is 106 years old today, and we wish her a very happy birthday. And now back to Seoul, Korea, and more Olympic gold.
At the Chomshil Gymnasium, the bronze medal game in men's basketball, Tom Hammond and Al McGuire. Willie Anderson off the bench has 5 U.S. points. And any question about the U.S. being ready to play, being flat in this bronze medal game has been answered. They are swarming against the Australians. And Al, the defense that didn't pay off against the Soviets is working to perfection tonight.
Well, what they're doing more is they're double teaming more. Watch the double team here coming to the corner. He comes over and double teams the man. Now, Cole should come up fast. He's a little bit slow coming up, and they're off to the races and develop a run, which this game looks like in a little while it will be NC. That means no contest.
There's a foul on Australia inside, as the U.S. has had its offense going against Australia as well. Watch them convert from offense to defense on the steal by Willie Anderson, and he'll take it coast to coast for the jam.
He keeps his head up. Ends up with a 3-point play. He made 1 from the foul line.
Charles Smith of Pittsburgh at the free throw line. Already the United States was 6 points off turnovers in the game that they lost to the Soviet Union. They had 4 the entire game, an indication that that pressure defense was not causing the Soviet turnovers. Already in this game, they have converted 6 Australian turnovers into points.
Well, Tom, you got to remember, the USSR is a heavyweight. Australia's a lightweight or a flyweight as far as basketball. I'm not looking to insult them, but they're just not in that class.
25-7 with 11:56 on the clock. That's going to be a U.S. foul. I think it's going to be on J.R. Reed. J.R. Reed with his second foul. He steps in, collides with Wayne Carroll, and it'll be a U.S. foul, number 5 against the U.S. in the first half.
We've still got 11 minutes and 54 seconds, and the score is 25-7. Favor USA. USA showing the zone for the first time, a trapping zone.
Gaze for 3. It's good.
He can hit from there. His father was the national coach in Australia for 14 years.
Second three-pointer of the game for Andrew Gaze, who is the second leading point getter in this tournament. That's Danny Manning with his second basket of the game. He got his first bucket on a tip-in off a David Robinson miss with 14:42 left in the first half. His first basket in 2 games. He has 4 now in this one.
Probably the longest offensive drought in his career since he's been 6 or 7 years of age.
That basket will not count. It'll be a foul. And it'll be on Australia. Andrew Vlahov committing the foul as Kay Yao, coach of the gold medal winning U.S. women's team, watches the game here, and the U.S. leading Australia 27.
In the gold medal match in women's volleyball, Peru won the first 2 games. The Soviets came back to win the third. Nikolai Karpol is at the end of his wits here trying to get his ladies back in it. They'll now go to a 4th game.
He looks like he's beat, but inwardly he's thinking, I've got him, because a long match favors the Soviet team. Karpol squeaked that one out, and if I were Manbach Park right now, I'd be very, very concerned. about his team. They had their chance in Game 3. They should have put it away, and now they've had a much tougher road. They being the Peruvians, they've had long 5-game matches, and I believe a long 5-gamer is in store here.
Garcia serves for Peru. Parhomchuk. And Natalia Malaga gets the first point of Game 4 for Peru. It's the best of 5. The Soviets have not served well. They have not received serve well. Smirnova, big hitter for Soviets. Tait keeps it up. Perez gets it over. Free ball for the Soviets. Parhomchuk off the hands.
We talked about service errors and service aces in the first 2 games. The Soviets with no service errors in Game 3. I think if the Soviets play up to their potential and the Peruvians play up to their potential, the Soviets will win. But Peru has been playing much better than the Soviets have been in this particular match.
Cecilia Tait, number 7 for Peru, has been their best hitter on the night. That one she hits into the net 1-1. When the Soviets beat China in 3, the serving from the Soviets was unbelievable. Tonight they served very poorly, and that's another service error for the Soviets, their 12th of the match. Tait serves for Peru. Game 4. 1-1, and Ogienko gets the kill, and the Soviets get the ball. Peru will get its first medal of women's volleyball in Olympic history, but the Soviets have dominated gold medal matches, winning 3 of the 6 in which they've played. Side out Peru. Still 1-1 in Game 4. Peru up 2 games to 1. Uribe. Off the hands, out of bounds. 2-1, Peru leads.
What a tournament Uribe has had, hitting off the hands out of bounds. She's been one of the best spikers for Peru.
Malaga serves. Ace. The 11th service ace by Peru in this match.
A little like David and Goliath. Peru with only 20 million people going up against the Soviets, 280 million people.
Smirnova hits it long. 4-1 Peru leads. Timeout. And we cue Mr. Nikolai Karpov. That's Manbach Park. In Game 4, Peru leads 4-1, up 2 games to none over the Soviets.
This NBC Sports presentation of the games of the 24th Olympiad is brought to you by GE. From satellites to medical systems, we bring good things to life. By Cotton Incorporated, the fiber company of America's cotton growers. And by Tandy Corporation, America's technology answer.
Tom Hammond and Al McGuire at the Chomshill Gymnasium. A jump ball in this bronze medal game. It'll go to Australia. The U.S. leading Australia 40-19. The U.S. with spirited play. In fact, Al, were it not for the 3-point baskets, Australia would barely be in the game.
I believe Australia has hit 4 of them already.
You're right, and that has kept Australia within shouting distance anyway. The U.S. with much more spirited play than it showed against the Soviet Union when they were tentative at times.
Well, if they turn the ball over, they're talented. You don't turn the ball over, and the U.S. has to settle in half-court offense or defense, they're in trouble.
Robinson with a rebound. Coles off the glass, no good. Tapped by Marley. Coles saved it right to Australia. Gaze will lay it in. 11 first-half points for Andrew Gaze, Australia's leading scorer. And with 6 minutes and 4 seconds left in the first half, John Thompson calls his first timeout with his U.S. team leading Australia by a score of 40-21. We'll take a break, and the U.S. bidding to take home the bronze. We'll be back after a word from your local station.
The gold medal match in women's volleyball. Bob Trumpy along with Chris Marlowe. Peru up 2 games to 1. Soviet Union leading in Game 4, 8-5. There's the big stuff by Gabriela Perez. It's now 8-6. Soviets leading Game 4.
And one of the reasons the Peruvians have been in this match, they've outblocked the Soviet Union to this point, and that's the reason they lead 2 games to 1.
Soviets have not served well, not received serve well, but Smirnova continues to hit well. She has 25 kills. There's the coach, Nikolai Karpov.
Well, you know, he led them to the medal in 1980, the gold medal, but then he was released because he didn't get along with the Federation for some reason. Had some problems communicating with them.
That ball is out. Now 9-6. Soviet Union leads in game 4. There's a great deal at stake for these Soviet ladies. If you believe what you read, at stake for each one $19,000 in rubles. A fair amount of pay for a gold medal.
And there's also a lot of incentive for the Peruvian team. In 1982, after the World Championships, the government of Peru gave each player on the team a house after they finished second. So they're in for a big payday if they do well.
Smirnova. Tait keeps it up. Set outside. That ball is hit out by Fajardo. And the Soviets have it. Substitution now for the Soviets. Ochinikova comes in. And also a substitution for Peru. Severa. Ogienko now serves with the fashion plate design of their volleyball uniforms.
Very bizarre looking uniforms for the Soviets. Very out of character.
That's off the block, out of bounds, hit by Torrealba. Peru gets the ball back, trailing 9-6 in game 4.
You know, when I look at those uniforms, I think it would be like Joe Paterno ordering Paisley jerseys for his football team. It just doesn't fit somehow.
Well, you just don't recognize Glasnost when you see it.
Look at that.
Good choice by Peru. Let the ball go over the net. And it ends up being a point for Peru. That was a very bad set to the net. And it ends up being a point for Peru. Smirnova. Stuff kept alive. Parhomchuk. Smirnova.
She's the key hitter. She has to put the ball down.
That's now 2 in this game, 26 in the match. Smirnova, 6 feet 1 inches tall, just 20. She's going to be around international volleyball for a lot of years.
A lot of pressure on her.
Uribe blocked well. Oh, that's a bad set. Uribe just gets it over. Free ball now for the Soviets. See, nice stuff block at the net. This time, Sidorienko gets it through the block. 10-7 in game 4.
The Soviets, tall and physical. The Peruvians, small and scrappy. A long match, I believe, still favors the Soviets.
Soviets looking a lot better now than they did in the first 2 games.
Starting to block a lot of balls. You see them getting their hands on every play.
Nicolina gets the ball over.
Oh, that was horrendous, and the ref didn't call it.
That was a carry is what you're talking about. She almost caught the ball. Mr. Hassan let that go, and it turns out to be a side out for Peru.
I think if Fajardo checks her hands, she's only got 9 fingers left. There's one still rotating.
You're so cruel. Parhomchuk set outside. Sidorienko. And that's Peru into the net. Side out for the Soviets. They lead game 4, 10-7. Game 4, the gold medal match in women's volleyball. The Soviet Union now coming back very close to form. They lost the first 2 games to Peru, won the third, lead in the fourth, 12-7, and are beginning to block and hit much better. That's Cecilia Tait off the hands, kept alive. Smirnova. She's now beginning to really hit 27 kills. That's Nikolai Karpov, who has been absolutely screaming at his players. Substitution for Peru. Malaga comes in. Fajardo goes out. And Sidorienko serves for the Soviets from behind the defense. Watch that ball jump around. The thing kept alive. Ogienko. Kept up. Set too tight. Garcia gets it up. Tait. Parhomchuk. Hits it long. No hands. Side out Peru. They trail 13-7 in game 4. They had their chance to win this match in 3. And Manbach Park and his young ladies let it get away. And now the Soviets beginning to dominate with their big hitting. This is the biggest volleyball team in the tournament, average 6 feet.
Another thing the Soviets' rejuvenation has caused, the crowd has gone silent. This crowd is predominantly Korean. Manbach Park is a national hero. He used to coach their national team before he went to Peru. And the crowd is very quiet for a Korean crowd. They're a great crowd, but they're watching the Soviets do what they do best. That is why the Soviets get paid rubles, to block at the net. That's how they earn their rubles.
Game point in Game 4. Mr. Hassan gives a yellow card to a member of the Peruvian team. Soviets now with 15 stuff blocks in the match, 5 in the game. And Parhomchuk serves for the game. Stuff, it's in. We're tied at 2. Peru wins the first 2. The Soviets come back and take the second 2. A 5th set coming up.
Welcome back to Seoul. There was perhaps more pressure on the United States women's basketball team than ever before. The team was trying to repeat as Olympic champs, and the women were trying to avert a double loss for the American Olympic basketball program. While the U.S. men's team was forced to settle for a shot at the bronze medal, the American women had their sights set firmly on the gold. The only team standing in the way was Yugoslavia. Chomshiel Gymnasium hosted Yugoslavia and the United States as they battled for the gold. Fans of the American team were hoping to avoid a repeat of the men's semifinal loss to the Soviets, as was U.S. women's coach Kay Yow. Immediately, Coach Yow's team applied pressure, but the Yugoslavians had met the Americans earlier in the preliminary round, and they made the adjustments to hang tough during the first half. Offensively, the U.S. relied on its trademark, the fast break, which carried them to a 6-point halftime lead. However, to stop the Yugoslavian team, Coach Yow realized that it would take more than offense to garner the gold. So, when the U.S. women took the floor in the second half, they went out with a defensive strategy. A defense that, unlike the U.S. men on the previous day, would capitalize on turnovers and turn them into points. Teresa Edwards led the attack with 18 points, 14 of those in the second half. And as soon as the defense clicked, it was only a matter of time before the American fast break would fall into place, helping the U.S. team and its fans to celebrate a dream come true. For the Yugoslavians, a well-earned silver. But for the American team, the gold medal was an appropriate finale for 12 women and their coach.
It's a really emotional victory. It's just so proud of the people that are on this team, the character that they have, not just the talent. And I wish that young players would have them as role models, not just for talent, but for the qualities and characteristics they have as people, because that tops everything, and it's a winner for them in anything they ever do.
Kay Yow joins us now, and you confirmed for me those were tears in your eyes. Congratulations. You certainly deserve a lot of the credit, because Lord knows if the team had lost, you'd get a lot of the blame. That's how it works, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Jane, but my philosophy on that is coaches get way too much credit when they win and too much blame when they lose.
That's about right. The pressure. Jimmy mentioned that you might have more pressure going into the game at the prospect of a double loss for U.S. basketball in general. Is that about right? Did you feel more pressure because of the men's loss?
Well, I think after watching the men's game last night and their loss for the Soviet Union, we were really disappointed for them. And it got us down a little bit at first. And then later, I think it fired us up to really get ready for today's game. And it made us realize that we'd have to play a really great game, because every team plays their best against United States teams.
You were, according to the scenario, supposed to play the Soviets in the gold medal game. Instead, you played the Soviets in the semifinal game. Did that change your strategy?
Well, in the semifinals, I think that it did, because we had really thought before Soviet Union played Australia that we would be playing the Soviet Union in the finals if we both could win in the semis. And then when Australia beat them, that was a surprise to us. And when the players didn't know about it until the next morning, because of curfew, they had already gone to bed. And we couldn't tell them, because that was the late game at 9:30. And we were really surprised. And the next morning they got up, they thought we were going to prepare for South Korea. And we told them we were going to be playing the Soviet Union. They thought we were kidding.
So was this good news or bad news?
Well, we didn't know at that time, but any news that we received, we tried to make it good news and be positive for us.
One of the wire stories said that the Americans swept through the tournament rather easily. Did it feel rather easy to you, or did you just
Never.
make it? No.
Never, no.
Were there scares?
Oh, I tell you, every game built pressure for us, each game. And the opening game was tough because it was the opening game. And I mentioned earlier, every team plays their best game against us. We're a great challenge for them. And in women's basketball, the Soviet Union has dominated for years. It's just been in the last few years that we have been able to compete with them the way that we want to. And to be able to play them well here was really important to our program in the States.
What happens to your team from here? And I'm thinking particularly of standouts, Teresa Edwards and Donovan. Where do they go in basketball from here?
Well, first of all, two players, Bridget Gordon and Vicki Bullock, go back to their respective universities, Tennessee and Maryland, to play their senior year. And Susie McConnell goes back to Penn State to do her student teaching and get her degree. Everybody else on the team within a 2-week period will be in either Italy or Japan playing basketball. And that's what women have to do today. With no professional league in the States, they go abroad and they get paid to play there.
But how much? I mean, consider that it's unfair. The men may win a bronze medal, but they don't win a gold medal, but they go on to, we can expect brilliant and highly rewarded monetary careers. And the women don't have that.
I know that's true, but in all fairness, the women's program in the States, we just had our 7th NCAA basketball tournament. The men celebrated their 50th this year. When the women are celebrating their 50th, we may be going to our multi-million-dollar contracts or something.
Ever the optimist. So, on one hand, you're going to break up a team that's been together nonstop for 2 months, and it's got to be a little sad. Or are you looking forward to seeing some new faces?
Well, when we got together August 1, we have been living together, eating together, practicing together. We have spent a lot of time together. I'm sure a lot of people about now would love to have a little space of their own. Also, it's fantastic them tonight, no curfew. So, I mean, you know, there are some great advantages to our breaking up. But I will miss these people. They have certainly become very special people in my life, and I will always remember them and this tremendous experience that I've had in the '88 Olympics.
Well, you've given those of us who are spectators some things to remember, too. It's been great, and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Jane.
I will be back after this.
Game 5, Soviets lead 7-3. The first team to reach 8 points will change ends. But now the Soviets beginning to dominate. Chris, tell me why you think they've turned this around.
Well, I think one reason is the Soviets are so much more physical than the Peruvians. Unlike basketball, some other games, there's no time limit, so you can't get ahead and stall. So the longer the match goes, the better for the more physical team, the bigger, stronger, more powerful team. Peru blew their chance at this match, I think, in the third game when they did not put it away right there.
It was tied at 13 apiece. Mr. Hassan says point over. So once again, Ochinikova serves. Soviets leading 7-3 in the 5th and deciding game for the gold medal in women's volleyball. The Soviets play, they win a medal. They've won either the gold or silver all 5 times they've played. They've won 3 of the 6 gold medals awarded in women's Olympic volleyball. And Peru will win its first medal of women's volleyball tonight.
I'd also mention another thing going against Peru. They've had a much tougher road to get here. They went 5 against China, barely beat them. They went 5 against Japan, barely beat them. So they have to be a little more tired than the Soviet team. That easy road, both of their matches under an hour.
The last match the Soviets played took 53 minutes, but Mr. Karpol has expended a life's worth of energy tonight getting his team back in this match.
He's done a marvelous job with his team. Only came back after the European Championships in '87. He's only really been with them 8 months, 8 or 9 months. What a difference he has made in this team.
Peru serves. Soviets lead 7-3. Ogienko gets it over. Garcia the set. Taib the hit. It's in. Now the crowd back into the match. Manbok Park is the coach of the Peruvian team. He's Korean. This is a predominantly Korean crowd. They are cheering not only for Peru, but their favorite son, Manbok Park. And now 2 straight points by Peru.
They'll take time out.
7-5, Soviets lead. Game 5. Garcia serves. Smirnova. Block. Perez keeps it up. Outside. Perez. Kept alive by the Soviets. Sidorienko still up. Perez. Hits it off the hand. 7-6 in Game 5. The Soviets lead.
This NBC Sports presentation of the games of the 24th Olympiad is brought to you by Kmart, proud sponsor of the 1988 USA Olympic team. By Socrates, helping children learn one-to-one from video technology. And by Metropolitan Life and affiliated companies. Get Met. It pays.
Game 5, women's gold medal match. The Soviet Union now on your left, or Peru on your right at 8 points in the 5th game. The two teams change in, and it's now 10-7. The Soviets lead. Homchuk is serving. The replacement now, Stavera, comes in. Uribe goes out.
This is always the best rotation for any volleyball team, having your setters serving and your big guns up front.
Perez, quick set, doesn't work. Kait saves it, right back out to her, and she gets it down. 10-7, Soviets lead. Nikolai Karpov, like a man on an sitting in a microwave. Kait now serves. The gold medal on the line. Smirnova, kept alive. Set outside, Gallardo gets it down. 10-8, Soviets lead.
Soviets taking a big chance. They've let the crowd back in with their poor play. They led 6-0, but they let their crowd back in. I think that's one of the most important factors. Peruvian team plays a lot better when people are yelling for them. Nobody yelling for the Soviets, I might add.
Smirnova, it's wide. Game 5, Soviets now lead 10-9. Koreans rooting for Manbach Park. Peruvian coach, been there since 1974. Another big block at the net been handled by the Soviets. Smirnova. Garcia. Oh! Gallardo gets it off the hand. They'll come back to tie the score at 10 in Game 5.
You have to come up with a big play, and this time Gallardo does it. Two blockers on her. She cuts it inside. This is a dig the Soviets should have, but they're not a good digging team, and that hurt them in that play.
3 unanswered points by Peru. Timeout, Soviets.
Спокойно, девочки. Маша, это не прием. Обеспечить прием нормально. 10-10. Концовку берем. Лиля, отбери, пожалуйста. Лиля.
Talking like a man whose contract depends on this match.
You can see the dominance that the Soviet women have had in Olympic volleyball. When they play, they win gold or silver. 3 of the 6 gold medals awarded. The serve by Cecilia Tait. Score tied. Game 5. Smirnova blocked. Off the block, out of bounds. Soviets get the ball.
A lot of pressure on Smirnova, only 20 years old. Soviets going to set her a lot.
That's Ogienko. Valentina Ogienko. Garcia. Perez off the hand. Peru gets the ball back, and now the momentum seems to have shifted to Peru slightly. Uribe, one of the big hitters for Peru, comes back in the match.
I like that, too. Whenever you set a big hitter, sometimes they'll come alive and block for you when they start putting the ball down. Let's see if Perez can do that.
Set in the middle. Smirnova once again. She now has 8 kills in this game, 35 in the match. She now serves. Perez, blocked off the hand again. Same play again, same result. Side out Peru.
Now the problem becomes for Peru. Perez is in the back row. It's going to be 3 rotations, and the smaller players for Peru are up front.
For Homchuk. Sidorienko, blocked. Uribe. Garcia back to Uribe. She hits it long. No contact. 10-10 the score remains. You only score when you serve. Side out Soviets.
You'll see those players beg for the touch. That means they're begging for the call off the hands. But when it gets close, the refs won't call that. You have to get more than a micro touch.
Nicolina serves. That hit. Torrealba, side out Peru. Game is to 15. You win by 2. At the end of this rainbow is the Olympic gold medal in women's volleyball. That hit is long. Sidorienko hits it long. 11-10, Peru leads. Game 5. Now 4 unanswered points for Peru. Serve into the net. Torrealba serves it into the net. And Brooke Park, very composed, sitting on the sideline.
That's his outer skin that looks composed, however.
Krivosheeva in and serving for the Soviets. Uribe blocked. Out. Peru gets it back, leading 11-10 in Game 5. Seneda, Uribe, 5'8.5", 23 years old, serves. Sidorienko off the block. Soviets get it back.
Soviets, no surprise what they're doing right now. Just a very conservative offense, just setting the ball high outside. That's what they do best.
Ooh, bad pass. Plays it over, he says. Mr. Hassan says, play it over.
And give
Sidorienko serves again.
And give him credit. He's called that play a couple of times. That's a held ball. He's called it correctly and consistently.
Tatiana Sidorienko. Tait kept alive. Quick set. Still up. Tait off the block. She hit it off the arm of Ogienko. Peru gets the ball back.
People might wonder, you're allowed to hit the ball twice off the block. That's the only time you can hit it twice is off the block. That counts as one contact.
Nikolai Karpol now can now watch. And it works by Parhomchuk, the setter, number 7.
That was a terrible shot. She dinked it right to the middle blocker, Perez. Red 5, and Perez couldn't handle it. Big play.
Parhomchuk now serves. This has been the best rotation for the Soviets. Perez puts it down. Peru gets the ball back.
A very close call on the outside. And we might mention right here as Perez goes up that the lines people are Korean. Not that that'll make a difference, but the 4 linesmen are Korean.
If the Soviets lose, it'll be a difference, no matter what happens. Off the block. Soviets get the ball back. Ogienko back to serve and a substitution. Ochinikova comes in. Krivosheeva goes out. Peru leads 11-10. Game 5. Perez. Well, you said they got to go back inside, take some of the heat off Uribe and Tait. They are going to Gabriela Perez at 6'4". Now she's hammering it on the inside. Gallardo now serves. Perez gets another one. 12-10. That's now 5 unanswered points by Peru. Nikolai Karpol having a nervous breakdown watching this match. Smirnova block. Smirnova again. And this time she finds a spot. That's 37 kills in the match, 10 in this game.
The one player that can neutralize the Soviets, Perez. She's doing it. She's hitting. She's blocking. She's the key for Peru.
Perez again, quick set. This time blocked at the net by Ochinikova. Soviets now trail by 1, 12-11.
Now it's a chess match. If you're the setter, do you set Perez again? Or do you go outside? They go away from her.
Uribe. Oh, Tait hit one that was out of bounds. Uribe again blocked, and the Soviets come back to win the point. 12-12 in Game 5. Gabriela Perez, 6'4.5". She's in the right front. Catches the net. Smirnova. She has 37 kills tonight, and she serves it into the net for the score tied 12-12. Quick set does not work, blocked well. Outside, Sidorienko. Off the hands, out. Soviets get the ball.
You know, you have to remember that a lot of these women are just 20, 19 years old. They're going to make some mistakes. They're not professionals, at least supposedly not.
That time, Torrealba gets the ball back for Peru.
Of course, whoever wins this match will be professional after this particular game.
Yeah, we'll repeat. Soviets Each one of these athletes apparently will get $19,000 each for winning the gold medal, or the equivalent of 19,000 in rubles. Nice dig, Uribe. Garcia gets it over. Free ball, Soviets. Oh, that time Chinikova puts it right into the gut of Torrealba. Side out, Soviets.
19,000 for first place. Second place, a free trip to Siberia. You can't beat that.
That's incentive. Uribe.
Take a
It's
swing
alive. Sidorienko hits it off the hand. 13-12, game 5. Nikolai Karpol up. Mr. Manbach Park takes a timeout to talk to his young ladies. 13-12 in game 5. Gold medal on the line. Game 5, Soviets lead 13-12. Peru now serving. Cecilia Taib. Each team going back and forth, side out.
And it takes a lot of guts to set the quick set near the end of a match, because simply there's no way to cover it. If someone blocks it, it's an automatic point.
Ogienko serves. Soviets lead 13-12. Perez blocked right back at her. Outside. Handled well by the Soviet. Here's Smirnova. That time Doug. Doug alive. Oh! Torrealba gets it down. Side out Peru.
Defense so critical to the Peruvians, sprawling all the way. A save of a point.
Smirnova blocked at the net by Gabriela Perez. Score tied 13-13. Nikolai Karpol dying 1,000 deaths.
Perez is the key. She blocks one, they can win.
Smirnova off the hands. Smirnova now has 38 kills in the match, 11 in the game. Perez has 2 stuff blocks in the game, 10 in the match. Smirnova serves. Uribe kept up. Parhomchuk. Sidorienko gets it down. Gold medal point, Soviet Union. Still alive. Sidorienko gets it over. Perez, block back. Torrealba fights off 1 gold medal point for Peru. Perez now serves. You must win by 2 in volleyball. Parhomchuk. Sidorienko, block back. Sidorienko again. Uribe. Contact, score tied, 14-14. The crowd, obviously, for Peru. Peru's coach, a Korean. Great dig. Gallardo keeps it alive. Garcia gets it over. Free ball, Soviets. Sidorienko. Another great dig. Tight.
Got to take a swing at it.
Too tight. Peru into the net. Soviets get the ball. Score tied 14-14.
You might wonder when they bump it over, why do they bump it so high? It's to allow your defense to get in position. If you don't have a swing, they're going to send it up.
Parhomchuk to set it. Does not get it over the net. Peru gets the ball.
If Parhomchuk handles the first play, the Soviets are in trouble because they don't have a lot of ball handlers.
Gina Torrealba serves. Sidorienko. Side out Soviets.
65 offense. Sidorienko and Smirnova. Sidorienko 6, Smirnova 5. They're going to hit all the balls.
Sidorienko 29 kills for the match. Smirnova 38. Sidorienko. Block. That time Garcia at 5'9". Blocks the 6'1" Sidorienko. Peru serves. Uribe. Ogienko, quick set. Homchuk gets it down.
She is the most athletic setter in the world when it comes to spiking the ball, so she's always a threat at the net.
Sidorienko serves. 14-14 game 5. Tait, cross court. Peru gets the ball. Why does Mr. Carpole coach?
He loves it.
He does. Garcia serves. Oh! It's an ace. It's an ace. 15-14 Peru in game 5.
And the Soviet setter is still complaining. She's not in position.
The linesmen are Korean. 15-14. Peru with gold medal point. Ogienko gets it over. Soviets have the ball. Peru with 13 service aces in this match. Homchuk serves. Tait gets the side out. Again, a second gold medal point for Peru.
She has been unbelievable. She's carried them, getting kill after kill in clutch situations.
The Soviets fight off a second gold medal point. Ogienko serves. Perez, Garcia, Torrealba. Gold medal point number 3. Denise Gallardo serves. Kept alive. Uribe. Stuffed back, side out Soviets.
The problem is, point match, you have to get the ball by the Iron Curtain. The Soviets up strong. 2 big blockers over the net.
This could be Rupp Arena. This could be Assembly Hall in Indiana. Sidorienko. 15-15.
And as a player, that gives you relief because now 2 points. You're not on that sudden death.
Peru had 4 attempts at gold medal point. Uribe. Homchuk will set Sidorienko. Off the hands, 16-15. Soviets now have gold medal point number 1. Soviets win. Peru had 3 attempts at gold medal point. The Soviets tied it, and they won it 17-15 in 5. The Soviets win their 4th gold medal in women's volleyball.
I tell you, you're not going to get it much better than that. Peru, no one expected that.
No, not at all. To give you an idea what kind of an upset it could have been, the Soviet Union come into this game were 28-3 in their Olympic history. The Peruvians were 8-14 with a 5-0 record this particular tournament, and so it would have been a tremendous upset, but still, what a wonderful amateur game.
But we will say for Peru that they did get their 3rd medal in history. I mean, it's a long time between medals. They have 2 medals in shooting, 1 gold, 1 silver. This is their 2nd silver medal, so 3 total.
And all right, we know you're already late for work, but it's also a very big news day. So stick around for John Palmer, who's going to get us caught up on the news of the day. And a good morning again, John Palmer.
Good morning again to you, Jane. In the news, all eyes are on Cape Canaveral this morning and the liftoff of the Space Shuttle Discovery. For NASA, much of the attention is on the weather, which has delayed this morning's launch. NBC News correspondent Tom Brokaw is at the Cape, and he has the latest. Tom?
Thank you, John. Well, would you believe that the weather is simply too good for a launch? The winds at high altitude, around 30,000 feet, are being described as spring-like. They're too light. What happened is that this Discovery shuttle has been computer programmed now to deal with stiffer winds. And if it were to launch in these kind of conditions, according to one of the NASA officials, it could get up there, the computers would kick in, and then it would just kind of tip over because it wouldn't meet the resistance that is expected. So weather conditions are still marginal at this time. They're still in a hold situation. The launch has been delayed until 10:59 this morning, Eastern Time. However, they are proceeding apace. The astronauts are being loaded into the orbiter earlier this morning. They left the facilities here and they went out in the van, that familiar sight. These 5 veterans now in their pressure suits, first time since the 5th flight of the space launch that they've been back in pressure suits once again, and they're also being suited up as they go into the orbiter, all 5 of these men, with their emergency escape equipment that they'll be using. They're getting parachutes and other paraphernalia that will allow them, if it's necessary, to go out of a pole if something should happen on takeoff. That's Rick Hauk, who is the commander, a veteran of 3 other flights, I think, altogether, and a Navy combat veteran of Vietnam, one of the really crack astronauts who will be commanding this crew. They hope to be able to take off by today. The launch time has been scheduled for 10:59. It could go as late as 2 o'clock this afternoon, but not after that. Back to you, John.
Thanks, Tom. In South Korea this morning, student demonstrators clashed with riot police in the worst street violence so far during the Olympics. About 1,000 radical students outside Korea University hurled hundreds of firebombs at police. They're demanding the release of a student leader arrested last week, and they are vowing to disrupt the summer games, including Sunday's men's marathon, if that student leader is not freed. In Paris, there was a clash during the night between police and demonstrators protesting the film The Last Temptation of Christ. Hundreds of people gathered in the streets demanding that the film not be shown. At one theater, police said protesters set off tear gas and attacked the projection booth. Canadian-born sprinter Ben Johnson, who so far has not spoken publicly about losing his gold medal, will apparently speak out to a West German magazine. Officials with the magazine Stern say they have bought, for an undisclosed amount of money, the rights to Johnson's story. Meanwhile, more than 100 people, many of them children, gathered Wednesday outside his home in suburban Toronto in a show of support for Ben Johnson. He returned to Canada on Tuesday, stripped of his gold medal after testing positive for steroids. In this country, firefighters are trying to contain new wildfires that broke out in Southern California. Fanned by hot Santa Ana winds, the fires erupted about 50 miles east of Los Angeles. So far, 3,000 acres have burned, and a number of people have been forced from their homes. In presidential politics, Michael Dukakis is meeting in New York this morning with French President Francois Mitterrand. Later in the day, Dukakis travels to New Jersey and then on to Texas. He met on Wednesday with Soviet Foreign Minister Shevardnadze in what Dukakis described as a get-acquainted session. He said he also brought up the plight of Soviet Jews and the pace of the Soviet withdrawal from Afghanistan. Vice President Bush is spending another day in the Midwest, where Wednesday he took an all-day bus tour through rural Illinois, calling that state vital to the November election. He's campaigning today in Missouri and in Michigan. And a Bush family member has offered to come to the aid of Charles Strickland, an unemployed Houston man unable to afford health insurance for his family, a man whose plight was mentioned by Michael Dukakis during Sunday night's debate. The vice president's nephew said that he wanted to help out, and he sent the man a check for $400. But Strickland, describing the money as a political ploy, is returning that check, saying that he's tired of being used as a political football. It's now 45 after the hour. That's it from New York. Once again, back to Washington, a check on the weather with Willard Scott.
Hey, good morning. They finally come up with my kind of Olympic event. A short, fat guy's 1 mile run downhill with a hot dog stand halfway to stop by for action. That takes place in St. John, New Brunswick, our beautiful neighbors in Canada, and it benefits the terminally ill children in that province. Good luck. I'll take my hat off to all of them. That's my kind of Navy hat. Let's check out the weather map and see what it looks like as I do my hair this morning. We have a chance of severe weather in Texas and Arkansas and eastern Oklahoma. Look out for thunderstorms and heavy rain, 3 to 5 inches. It is autumn in New England this morning in upstate New York, 27 degrees in Saranac Lake, while Palm Springs yesterday was 105. Santa Ana winds heat things up in California. San Francisco, 90, probably 100 near Sacramento, and fog this morning in the central Appalachians. Here's what's happening in your world even as we speak.
Good morning. I'm Mike Burish with today's forecast. It'll be mostly cloudy with showers and thunderstorms redeveloping this afternoon. South to southeast winds 10 to 15, the high 70.
Alice Metter of Orlando, Florida. Happy 108th birthday. That's dynamite. Happy birthday. Now back to more Olympics in Seoul, Korea.
Tom Hammond and Al McGuire at the Chomsil Gymnasium. Just 21 seconds left before the U.S. claims the bronze medal. They're leading Australia 78-47. The U.S. trailed on the first basket of the game 3-0, but they broke the game open with their pressure defense. They built a 23-point halftime lead, and as the seconds count down, the U.S. for the first time will take home a bronze medal in men's basketball. John Thompson will be heading back to Georgetown, the subject of a lot of controversy, and he is disappointed. And I'm sure the fans in the United States disappointed that the U.S. comes back with only the bronze. The expectations so high for this team that will settle for the bronze medal.
Tom, it was no upset that the USSR beat the USA. They just played a better ball game. The tough break that the USA got was Hershey Hawkins going down, and they didn't have any other three-point shooters.
So John Thompson beating the Australians 78-49, and the U.S. will take the bronze medal from Seoul. 78-49 is the final score. Tom Hammond for Al McGuire, sending you back now to Gail Gardner.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. Not quite what they had in mind when they arrived here, but it is a medal nonetheless.
It is. It must have been difficult for that team to get up and ready for this game after losing to the Soviet Union. The build-up that's been taking place for the last few months, waiting for that matchup, losing the game, but coming back, and it shows a great deal of character.
If you could take a temperature of a game, compare that to the previous volleyball we saw, which was so hot, and that was a little cool.
A little cool. All right, we have something else for you. A little earlier in the program, we watched the conclusion of the decathlon. East Germans finishing first and second. In third, just ahead of two-time Olympic champion Daley Thompson, was Canadian Dave Steen. We want to take a look at Steen's reaction when he discovered that he had actually won a medal.
I'm glad I was here. A beautiful moment. 15 minutes after the conclusion of the 1,500 meters, 28-year-old Dave Steen of Canada waits for the official news anxiously, watching the scoreboard. Few fans that were here are gone. His wife at his side, and now he sees the news.
That can't be it.
Yes! All right, he came out of nowhere.
That's amazing.
One of the longest waits you've ever had?
Yeah, it was a pretty long decathlon.
Your wife, Andrea?
Yeah.
Long wait for you, too, right?
Long wait.
She's helped me so much this year. She's really committed a lot to my decathlon this year. I owe a lot to her.
You really came out of nowhere. What were the two events that got you back in it?
I have usually a pretty strong second day, but it came down to the 1,500 here, and we had so many guys so close. I just ran my ass off. Excuse me.
Did you know how many seconds you had to finish in front of Daley Thompson?
No, it came down to Daley was hurt, and I didn't think he was going to be able to run real well, but I mean, he's really tough. He's a great competitor. I didn't know. I just had to go out and run the best race I could and see where the chips fell.
In light of what happened to Ben Johnson, this is a tremendous accomplishment for not only yourself, your family, but Canada, too.
Thank you. Thanks.
Where do you go from here now?
We're going to Hawaii for about 6 days, and I'm going to start reevaluating the rest of my life right now.
All right, what about your dad, who was a great decathlete also?
Yeah, he sure was. He's been here supporting me through it. He's probably going nuts now. This is up on the board. I got to go find him, too.
All right, congratulations. Thanks for joining
us. Thank you. I'd like to say, if I could just say one more thing, I want to say happy birthday to Brian Conlon and the John Fisher Public School that supported me. I did it, you guys.
Didn't forget his friends. Two East Germans, 1-2, and Steen of Canada third.
Dick, what we've seen here is a changing of the guard. The youngsters and the heretofore lesser-knowns replacing the veterans and past champions. The king is dead. Long live the king.
Daley Thompson, 2 Olympic golds, and Dave Steen, born in British Columbia, 28 years old, defeats his idol, Daley Thompson, for the bronze. 4 years of agony for a decathlete, all for a precious bronze medal. And that's our story from Olympic Stadium.
Thank you, Dick Enberg. First Olympic decathlon medal ever for Canada, the bronze to Dave Steen. And by the way, the highest finishing American was Tim Bright, who finished 7th.
Daley Thompson, though, we should talk about him for just a second. He was going after his 3rd straight decathlon. Apparently, the record of Bob Mathias still stands intact. He won 2 golds in the decathlon in 48 and 52, and of course, so did Daley Thompson, 80 and 84.
Okay, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, Jane will be talking to Tracy Ruiz Conforto, the double gold medalist in synchronized swimming in 1984. She is back in the solo event this year. We'll have that right after this. Stay with us.
Tracy Ruiz won 2 gold medals in synchronized swimming at the 1984 Olympics and promptly retired from international competition. And then about 2 years ago, she came back. She returned to synchronized swimming, and this year she's returned to the Olympics and sporting a married name. Tracy Ruiz Conforto joins us from the Athletes Village. And thank you for being with us. You're under some pressure. You finished the preliminaries and now head into the finals tonight. What do you do in the hours between now and then, Tracy?
Well, just try to relax and stay calm. I think all the hard work is behind me, and so we're just sort of tapering down a little bit. And I don't know, I think I'm mentally going through my routine right now and just trying to picture the perfect performance. And I'm just going to go out there and just go for it and try to have a good time. And hopefully the audience will be with me.
I don't want to spoil your mental image of the perfect performance, but can you help but focus on your competition? After the preliminaries and going into the finals, you're in second place to Canada's Carolyn Waldo.
Right.
Do you think about her?
Oh, yeah, I think about her all the time, actually. But I think it's good to have really good competition because I think Carolyn has really pushed me to be the best possible athlete I can be, and hopefully I've really pushed her. So I think it's more of a positive thing rather than a negative thing. So I think it's going to be, you know, it's going to be really exciting. It's going to be really tight, and I think we're both going to get out there and just go for it.
In fact, when you retired, I take it one of the reasons you came back is because you actually missed that competition.
Right. Yeah.
Some of us might not identify with that. Why do you need to have constant competition in your life?
Well, I don't know. It's just, there's something about the Olympic Games. It's just a real thrill to be involved with the Olympic Games, and I just love the sport of synchronized swimming, and I really missed the competition after I got out of it. I did a lot of shows and exhibitions around the world and in the United States, and I just really missed the competition. So I really felt that in 1984, even though I won the gold medals, I could have been a better athlete. And I really feel that I'm a better athlete now at these Olympic Games, and I'm glad I took the chance and pushed myself and came back, because regardless of whether I get a gold or silver medal tonight, I feel like I've really pushed myself, and I'm a better athlete today. So,
Tracy, would you rather perform before an audience of thousands or before an audience of 5 or 6 or 7 judges? Which would be more exciting?
Which would be more? Well, I really love to perform for an audience. I think that's, you know, I think it's, I don't know, I guess maybe both. I'm not sure. I think the audience really gets me going, though. I really enjoy doing the shows, but, you know, it's nice to have the judges there also to you know, sort of measure your progress and you know, give you a measure of how you're doing technically and as well as artistically.
Well,
so
I'm glad you like the
both.
audience, Tracy, because it might be in the millions and millions, but never mind that. Your sport is unique in that you spend so much of your training time not only underwater, but upside down.
Right.
How much of your time in the pool are you literally underwater and upside down?
Well, I have a 3.5-minute routine, and the first 45 seconds, 55 seconds are underwater, and some girls even go longer underwater. What determines the length is how difficult the moves are that you're doing while you're underwater. I've got a lot of real explosive and fast movements that really take a lot of energy, and so, you know, that sort of determines how long you're underwater. And then you come up and just like an ice skater would, go through some arm movements and then go back down and do another leg sequence. And, you know, then it sort of goes on like that. It's real similar to ice skating, though.
I know the most predictable question an interviewer can ask you is, you want to ask it yourself, you know, how long can you hold your breath? Am I right? Is that it?
That is definitely. That is one of the most popular questions that I've been asked. And actually,
what's the answer? The answer is incredible. You can hold your breath at least 2 minutes and 25 seconds that I know of.
That's right. I finally was tested this summer when your NBC crew came out and they said, let's see how long you can do it. And they gave me a stopwatch. And so I sat there on my lawn while everybody watched, and I did the stopwatch, and I held my breath as long as I could. I had never done that before, because we don't
Tracy, we're gonna let you go for now, and we will let you continue picturing the perfect routine, as is your ritual, and we look forward to seeing a picture-perfect routine in the finals.
Thanks a lot.
Take care. And we'll be back after this.
A few moments in Olympic history that endure through time and evoke the excitement of the Games even years later. Today was one of those moments, the sculpted figure of Florence Griffith Joyner striding perfectly toward her second gold medal of the Games. Let's take another look, beginning with the semifinals.
Here are the lane assignments in the semifinals of the women's 200 in the first heat. Andrea Thomas is in 1, Marion Jali is in 2, Merlene Ottey is in 3, Katrin Krabbe, the 18-year-old East German, is in 4. Florence Griffith Joyner is in 5. Maya Asarashvili is in 6. Silke Gradish-Moller is in 7. And Pauline Davis is in 8. Florence Griffith Joyner. Yesterday she set the Olympic record of 21:76. This is the semifinal. Top 4 finishers through to the finals in about an hour and a half. Merlene Ottey in lane 3. Always a contender. Expect her to move through. She always seems like she always comes up with a bronze medal. Outside it is Silke Gradish-Moller, who is running exceptionally well. Asarashvili, Florence Griffith Joyner. Here comes Flojo as she turns to the straight and heads for home. Merlene Ottey goes with her. Silke Gradish-Moller outside. 21:56. She got it. The world record. The win is all right. That's the one she wanted. Powering down that final straight for the world record.
I don't see how anyone can beat this woman in the final. She's going for a world record in the semifinal in the Olympic Games, not worrying about whether or not she's going to have anything left for the final. She's so confident. She was even with everyone coming around the turn, a bit ahead when she hit the straightaway, and she just runs that straightaway better than anyone we have ever seen. And she does it time after time after time.
And Frank, you said it. World record in the semifinals. She'll break it in the final. We'll be back.
So Florence Griffith Joyner wins her semifinal in world record time. That set the stage for the final of the women's 200 meters, and here's how Charlie Jones called it.
Florence Griffith Joyner will be in lane 5. World record holder, Olympic record holder, American record holder. She did all that today, running a 21:56. There's the world record. And there's the holder. Here are the lane assignments. Heike Drexler of East Germany is in lane 1. Maya Asarashvili of the Soviet Union is in 2. Merlene Ottey is in 3. And she's almost an automatic pick for the bronze medal because she probably has more bronze medals. Frank Shorter mentioned that earlier in World Championships and Olympic Games than anybody else. Silke Moller, Silke Gradish-Moller of East Germany is in 4. Florence Griffith Joyner is in 5. Grace Jackson of Jamaica is in 6. Galina Maljugiva of the Soviet Union is in 7, and Gwen Torrance of the United States is in lane 8. Now, Gwen Torrance outside in lane 8. She just has to run as fast as she can, and she might possibly sneak in for a medal. It's a good start. Florence Griffith Joyner already closing the stagger on Grace Jackson. That is her first goal. And here she comes. She'll pick it up as she turns down the straight. She's going after another record. Gwen Torrance is running fairly well outside, but this race belongs to Florence Griffith Joyner. 21:33. The wind gauge is all right. 1.3. An incredible world record.
Come on, baby, jog down.
Now let's look at the race itself.
She runs the curve very well. You have to remember, Grace Jackson on her right is the person we thought was going to give her the biggest battle, and she is 2 to 3 meters ahead coming onto the straightaway. And when Florence Griffith Joyner reaches the straightaway ahead, everyone else can go home. There's nothing you can say about her form that hasn't already been said. Look at that. Just every stride the same. Every stride the arms come up the same amount, and that shows that she just doesn't die on the straightaway. Florence almost seems to be accelerating. The smile comes. Boy, she knows she has it. I think she can see the clock. She's counting it down. She knows she has the record.
Here she is, the gold medalist in the 200 world record time, Florence Griffith Joyner. Congratulations on the run. We saw you speaking to yourself, talking to yourself in the blocks. What were you saying to yourself?
Telling myself to stay relaxed and asking Jesus to go with me and make me do what I'm supposed to do. And I did it.
You got the record when you wanted it. Al predicted it beforehand. What were you thinking coming into that curve?
I was thinking, try to make up the stagger, stay relaxed, and then bring it home. I said, use everything you got because you can always rest at the end.
Al, was that the prettiest race that she's run?
Yes, she was more relaxed and just, it was beautiful because that was the best curve she ever ran in her life, and it was more relaxed. And coming down the straightaway was just unbelievable.
I want you to take a look at the race if you could, and tell us what you were thinking as you came out of the starting blocks.
Trying to get a really good start as I did in the semis. Staying relaxed. And once I made up the stagger on some of the girls, I told myself to stay relaxed. Stay relaxed. And there, I felt very good. And I said, well, you got to lift and push. Use every energy you have. This is the Olympic Games. This is it for the gold. And if you want it bad enough, take it. And I did.
You took it indeed. Al, your thoughts as you watched the race?
Oh, when I seen her coming off the curve, I thought the other runners would be off the curve before because I thought she was just going to be a little bit more relaxed. But when I seen her run at the top of the curve, I knew it was over with. And I knew last year at the World Championship, her second half of the 100 was at 10.57. So I like to see the time in this second half because even though she took the silver medal last year, she still had the fastest second part of the 100 meters. So I knew it was going to be a very fast race.
2 world records one day. I was wondering what your the character that you use in your books, Barry Bam Bam, what he would say about your performance right now.
Way to go. It's about time you got rid of that silver and got some gold.
All right, good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Absolutely, way to go. 2 quick things. Dwight mentioned her coming down the straightaway. And I think it's really important because he kept saying you've never seen a woman, and I dare to say few men, who have been able to run that way to complete that race. She's just extraordinary. The other thing that she mentioned a few days ago, when people kept asking her, where did you make this quantum leap all of a sudden? And she said she learned to relax at some point. She runs her races so relaxed that she's not out there. When she was trying so hard, she couldn't succeed. When she said, you know, just kind of go with yourself, it's when she was able to become who she's become.
And that is the great ambition of every sprinter, to try to relax through a race. To put this into some kind of historical perspective, the last American woman to win both the 100 and 200 at the same games was Wilma Rudolph back in 1960, so she can be very proud of herself today.
Wilma Rudolph did it in 24 seconds flat. We were talking yesterday about how Wilma Rudolph 28 years ago ran a race at 11 seconds, which would have put her in 5th place 28 years later, right here. But the comparison in the 200 meters, Wilma Rudolph's 24 seconds, and FloJo did it in 21:34, 2.5 seconds faster. She's way out ahead.
She sure is. To put it one step further,
Yes.
She ran a 10:49 at the 100 meters, her world record back in Indianapolis. That would have won the men's 100 meters back in 1956. She can
All right.
run.
Pretty impressive. Needless to say, there was probably a very emotional medal ceremony that took place, and we're going to be able to show that to you now.
In 1988, when peace threatened to break out in various long-standing regional conflicts around the world, the Nobel Committee has today named UN peacekeeping forces around the world as winners of the 1988 Nobel Peace Prize, in particular citing a ceasefire in the Iran-Iraq Gulf War and negotiations for the withdrawal of Soviet forces from Afghanistan. The committee cited the forces for building confidence in the United Nations that allows the organizations to play a growing role in global affairs and reducing the level of conflict, even though the fundamental causes of the struggles remain. President Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev had been contenders for the Nobel Peace Prize, but not this year. Jimmy?
Jane, we're going to change gears for just a moment and head towards basketball. The result was disappointing to Americans everywhere, but there was no denying that the recent American-Soviet showdown in men's basketball lived up to its pregame hype. Basketball has become one of the most eagerly awaited and closely scrutinized events of these games. But if you were there for the event's debut 52 years ago, you never would have thought it possible. Dick Enberg takes a look at the Olympics past.
Basketball, born and bred in the U.S., invented in Springfield, Massachusetts by Dr. James Naismith in 1891, and it made its debut on the Olympic program in 1936. A confident American team journeyed to Berlin in pursuit of the gold medal. The Americans, however, were in for a few surprises.
We figured basketball was an indoor sport. When we got there, they told us we could practice right out there. He says, couldn't we practice in the gym where the games would be held? They said, that is the place where the games will be held. It was out of doors.
Before that, the last time I had played outdoors when I was a kid on the playgrounds.
And what do you get when you take the game of basketball outdoors, construct a court of sand and clay surrounded with a brick wall, and throw in a heavy rain?
The result of this bricking in was that this court was not just muddy, but in this downpour, a swimming pool. Really a swimming pool. You went to dribble, splash. The ball floated away.
I'm telling you, it was there's never been anything played like that before or since or ever again. The sand and the clay would fly into your eyes, you'd catch the ball, and boy, I'm telling you, you got to where you wouldn't pass no more. You just held the ball.
On the floor, there must have been 1 inch or 2 inches of water. So there was hardly any dribbling. It was just a splash, and it was more like a water polo game.
And get this, in the Olympic final, the U.S. splashed past Canada 19-8.
19-8? The best basketball players in the world? That's absolutely ridiculous.
There's no footage of that final game. In the rain and out of the spotlight was the way basketball made its Olympic debut. Half the U.S. players were from a Los Angeles team sponsored by Universal Pictures. To pay for their trip to New York to catch the boat to Berlin, the Universal players went on a barnstorming tour across the U.S. Along the way, they did promotional work for Universal, including a stint in a Frankenstein costume by Frank Lubin. The Universal players had earned their spot on the Olympic team by upsetting the McPherson, Kansas Globe Oilers 44-43 in the finals of the Olympic trials at Madison Square Garden, New York.
That was a very, very hotly contested game. It was back and forth, back and forth, back. And we were very, very fortunate to win by 1 point.
I can remember dressing for that game and said, well, this is it. This is the last time I put on this stuff where it is really important.
Well, of course, after Universal upset McPherson, Shai was able to lace him up a few more times in Berlin. He didn't play in all of the U.S. team's games at the Olympics. In fact, strangely, none of the Americans did. The U.S. team that was finally selected included the starting fives from both Universal and McPherson. And the 2 units, the 2 best teams in the world, ended up alternating games. Frank Lupin, who sat under an umbrella in the stands during the gold medal game, finds it all amusing.
Bill Wheatley was the McPherson Globe Oiler member, and I was the Universal Pictures. And I was never and never have played a minute of basketball with Bill Wheatley in any games. And here we are, both gold medal winners, the first ever in 1936, and we've never played together. A little bit of irony.
Rotating teams in the first Olympic game. That's what they were talking about.
That's the way I'd like it that way.
It sounds good.
Yeah.
They knew how to shoot. They sure did, yeah. Under that underhanded.
They know how to sling mud, too.
What's interesting is that so many have survived from that 1936 game to talk about it, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. Well, what do you say we go back to New York? A big story there. John Palmer can get us updated on the scheduled launch of the Space Shuttle Discovery. And good morning for a final time from Seoul, John Palmer.
And good morning to you, Jane. Thanks. In the news this morning, after a 32-month wait, the nation's attention today is on Cape Canaveral and the Space Shuttle Discovery. For the latest, here's Tom Brokaw at the Cape. Tom?
Right now, all the eyes of the NASA officials, John, are on those weather balloons that they have up there around 30,000 feet, hoping that they'll get higher winds. That's the unusual situation that continues to prevail. The wind's still too light for a launch this morning because of the programming on the computers on the Discovery for stiffer winds, and if they go up there and those computers kick in and don't find that resistance, then it could go into, in fact, a kind of a tip-over mode, I suppose, is the way NASA officials might describe it. They have found 2 faulty fuses, just like a household in which when the oven doesn't work, you go down and find the faulty fuse box, and that's got a fan going in one of the astronauts' pressure suits. We want to show you the crowds that are here today. They are enormous as they gather for this first launch from the Kennedy Space Center in 32 months. That's since the time of the Challenger accident, of course, and they've been pouring in here all night long. They were here, many of them, yesterday, and they're lined up along the causeway so they can get a look at a launch that they hope will occur today. And in the skies over the Kennedy Space Center today, an unwelcome visitor. How this happened, we're not sure, but a light airplane suddenly invaded the area. It's been chased out of there by now, but that doesn't belong there, and that could have been a problem, of course. They have a launch window until 1:41 Eastern Time this afternoon. If they don't get off by then they'll have to scrub it until tomorrow because it's too dark across the ocean to make an emergency landing should that become necessary. So that's the latest from the Kennedy Space Center, John. We're still watching and waiting.
Okay, Tom, thank you. In Oslo, Norway, they awarded the Nobel Peace Prize this morning. As Jane Pauley mentioned earlier, it went to the United Nations peacekeeping forces. The citation said the troops have significantly reduced the level of tension around the world. UN troops are now stationed in the Middle East, on Cyprus, and on the Indian subcontinent. Students in Seoul, South Korea fought riot police this morning in what Korean officials say is a rising tide of anti-Americanism and anti-Olympic feeling on the part of radical students. Yelling anti-Olympic slogans, about 1,000 students clashed with police outside the gates of Korea University. It was the worst street fighting in Seoul since the Olympics began. Students are threatening to disrupt Sunday's marathon if the Korean government doesn't release a jailed student leader. And in Paris, police scuffled with protesters trying to disrupt the showing of the controversial movie The Last Temptation of Christ. Nearly 600 demonstrators showed up during the night at a Left Bank theater in Paris. At least one police officer was injured during the fighting. This was one of several protests staged across France by followers of excommunicated Catholic Archbishop Marcel Lefebvre. President Reagan is expected to sign the $300 billion defense authorization bill now sitting on his desk. Both houses of Congress passed the bill on Wednesday overwhelmingly. The president vetoed the original bill last month, but the new legislation still provides no extra money for the administration's Star Wars or SDI program. Michael Dukakis continues in New York today, where he meets with French President Francois Mitterrand. On Wednesday, Dukakis met for more than an hour with Soviet Foreign Minister Edward Shevardnadze. Dukakis gave credit to President Reagan for a warming of U.S.-Soviet relations, and he told the Soviet Foreign Minister that as president, he would build on that achievement. Shevardnadze called the meeting profound. George Bush campaigned through rural Illinois Wednesday in a bus. In the campaign rhetoric, Bush repeatedly accused Dukakis of wanting to give the Internal Revenue Service new and unwarranted powers. Bush called the IRS high-handed and said it treats people as if they were presumed to be guilty. It's now 27 minutes after the hour here in New York. One more time, back down to Washington, a check on the weather with Willard Scott.
Hey, good morning in Boulder City, Nevada. Big event this weekend, Art in the Park. Check it out. All of it benefits the Boulder City Hospital, and that's for the auxiliary. That's this week in Boulder City, Nevada, not Colorado. Let's check the act and see what we have in the weather department. 27 degrees, Saranac Lake up in New York this morning. That's a little bit chilly. There will probably, no doubt, be some frost on the pumpkin throughout the valleys of New England tomorrow morning. A chill in the northeast makes it just perfect fall weather. Severe thunderstorms in Texas, Arkansas, and eastern Oklahoma. Heavy 3 to 5 inches of rain expected today. Santa Ana winds heating things up in Southern California. As a matter of fact, Sacramento could be up to 100 degrees today. San Francisco, up in the northern part, 90 degrees. Now, here's what's happening in your world even as we speak.
Good morning. I'm Mike Burish with today's forecast. It'll be mostly cloudy with showers and thunderstorms redeveloping this afternoon. South to southeast winds 10 to 15, the high 70.
And our pick city of the day, Washington, D.C. It's going to be a beautiful day for the Union Station to be rededicated, the old railroad building. Meyer Brewer of Jeffersontown, Kentucky, 104. Happy birthday to Meyer. Now, back to Seoul, Korea, and more Olympics.
Welcome back to Seoul.
I need your light, and when the sun is out, I've got something I can laugh about. I feel good in a special way. day. Go. Good day, sunshine,
The best hope for a United States gold medal in wrestling took the mat tonight against Soviet Stefan Sarkisian. John Smith of Dell City, Oklahoma, the seventh of Leroy and Madeline's 10 children, and the reigning world champion in the 62-kilogram weight class. For a look at Smith and his gold medal match, here are Russ Hellickson and Jeff Blatnick.
Watching this man, one perceives a sense of solitude, a man reflecting deep within himself. The opponent and the observer, oblivious to the crowd surrounding them, both go about their individual tasks, one competing, the other waiting. John Smith waits, fixated on the only person that can deny him his dream, all the time wrestling an imaginary match where optimism and confidence decide the winner. Two will take the mat and compete for the gold, but alone atop the medal platform, the victor will stand.
And shortly we will see who is atop the victory stand. 6 minutes of wrestling will decide. But Jeff, so far, John Smith has looked very good.
He's been performing well. He has a hometown crowd here helping to cheer him on, and that extra motivation has helped him in a situation where he had a tough draw. He's won 6 straight matches, the toughest against Enki of Mongolia. He trailed 4-2 after the first period, but his pride helped him and enabled him to a 12-7 victory. That's a big one, and that's sure going to help his confidence.
Well, he's been very predictable here, but unstoppable.
Well, his patented trademark are his leg shots. He mixes up a low single with a high crotch where he ducks under the opponent's arm and spins around behind getting takedowns, but he's also very, very tough on the mat. He uses a near wrist to help set up his gut wrench, getting exposure points on his opponents and help running up the score.
Well, those moments of action got John to this point, but now let's spend a moment in time with John Smith.
Morning comes to Stillwater, Oklahoma, the home of Oklahoma State. It is in many ways a typical college town. To this all-American setting comes one of this country's premier all-American wrestlers, John Smith, a young man whose very name sounds like something from a Frank Capra movie. In fact, what has been going on in John's life is the stuff of which movie scripts are made. It starts with his family and his older brother, Leroy.
10 in my family, counting me. I have 6 sisters and 3 brothers. The wrestling aspect, my brother Leroy, he probably started us. When he started, I think we all just followed. You know, he was successful, and I think that helped me be successful.
Here is where the plot thickens. Leroy was denied a spot on the '84 team after a disputed match with Randy Lewis. Key testimony against Leroy was given by Dan Gable. John Smith spends much of his time at the Wrestling Hall of Fame on the campus of Oklahoma State. He says he goes there to reflect on things he has to do. John made the Olympic team by beating, that's right, Randy Lewis. If a movie were to be made of the life and times of John Smith, look for the strong, silent type to play the lead.
I wouldn't say I'm the best right now. I think one day that if I keep going the way I am, I'm going to be. If I keep motivating. And I haven't wrestled a lot of the best wrestlers in the world yet. Most of them, but not all of them. And I think until I experience wrestling the best all over the world, then maybe I can say I'm the best if I defeated them. But right now, I don't consider myself the best.
Will John Smith be the best? We'll see. He wrestles for the gold in a minute. And right now, we're going to find out who is the best 136.5-pound wrestler in the world. John Smith out of Del City, Oklahoma. A reigning world champion here in the red singlet. He will be wrestling Stepan Sarkisian of the Soviet Union, the matchup everybody anticipated here for the gold medal. This should be a great one. Sarkisian in on the leg right away.
He's in on that low single. Smith countering. He's got great flexibility. He might just tie up the Soviet, try to get the match put back up on their feet in a neutral position. He's got to keep Sarkisian from improving the position.
Well, we see that flexibility.
He might get the takedown out of this. He's behind the Soviet. He's got to get a knee down. He's got to get a knee down. Not yet. There it is. First point is scored by Smith. And that's a big point. We've seen that most of the time, the people that score first win. And Smith might have frustrated Sarkisian to start this matchup. He was in deep on a single leg, and he comes out empty.
And again, we saw that tremendous flexibility that John Smith has. He countered out of that move and was able to come up on top to get the takedown. He strikes first. 1 minute and 58 seconds to go in the first period. John Smith scored first in every match he wrestled. Both these competitors have won 6 matches to get to this final match. A shot again by Smith.
He got so far underneath Sarkisian. When Sarkisian sprawled, he actually fell over the top, was unable to capitalize on it, but he's in on another single leg now. Smith, I can't believe how he can keep that position. We call that unorthodox. Smith calls that normal.
Wow, how he stopped that single leg takedown. Came up for the body lock and countered out of it. No points scored. He still leads 1-0. And they're going to call Smith for a caution. I don't understand this. Leroy Smith shaking his head just like we are. How could they call John Smith for a caution? He scored. He's aggressive. 1 minute and 16 seconds to go. Sarkisian on the top.
Perhaps they're saying Sarkisian is the one that initiated the attack. Smith is just reacting. And Smith going to do a stand-up. Sarkisian takes him around the waist. Smith wants to be careful here. Doesn't want to give up any back exposure. You see, Smith drops right down to his knee. He finds it easier to fight that from his knee.
Stay tough.
And Sarkisian really not able to concentrate on exposure. He's so busy worrying about just keeping Smith down. But he does have an arm bar, but he's unable to use it, and they're brought up.
Bring them back to their feet. The crowd very quiet, actually, for the nature of this match. They're on the edge of their seats. They expected this final matchup. John Smith ahead 1-0, 38 seconds to go.
Smith's got to get that attack on his feet going. He's got a real good low single, and he changes up using a high crotch going to the opposite side. There's that high crotch. He doesn't have super good position on. In fact, Sarkisian does a nice job of countering. Smith unable to pull that leg in. He now takes that single, but it's almost as though Sarkisian was giving it to him. And Smith now trying to drag it on a single again. We'll see if he can finish it.
Well, he doesn't let up. He's back in a leg, but time is running down. Only 4 seconds to go. He's not going to be able to score here. John Smith unable to score. He does have the only point. He leads 1-0. This match at 136.5 pounds. Here's the only point scored at this point.
Well, Sarkeesian was in on a nice single, but Smith managed to counter, come around behind, and force the knees to touch. That gave him the only point for the takedown.
Two world-class wrestlers going head-to-head for the gold medal. Sarkeesian, a European champion, Tbilisi champion. The USA crowd somewhat passive right now. They're waiting for the action to get started. They've been cheering on John Smith all through this tournament. They want a gold medal for the United States. He is the reigning world champion. He's a two-time NC2A champion. He's done a lot of winning for the USA.
Smith has beaten both Azayev and Alexev, the previous 136.5-pounders for the Soviets, and Sarkeesian is their 88 Tbilisi champion, which is the equivalent of their national championship. Smith is in now. Good leg attack. He's got the Soviet down, but the Soviet's hanging on to his ankle, and there, he's got the score for the takedown. He's now leading 2-0. And that was a big point. Come right out in the second period and score right away. It shows the referees you're aggressive, and that might have a little bit of a psychological effect on Sarkeesian. Most Soviets find themselves leading in this position, and here he's trailing, and he's unable to score.
Well, John Smith, give him credit. Very, very tenacious on that move. He hung in there until he got the takedown. 2 minutes and 14 seconds. Leroy into this match just like we are. Sarkeesian in on an underhook, almost threw him by. John Smith with his head down. They'll call him for a caution if he stays there.
He's a one-dimensional wrestler. He likes to keep the action low on the mat. And this is where he's very tough, and you can see he took the wizard position, almost capitalized on it, but they went out of bounds. Smith will want to stay lower. He doesn't want to play upper body. That's not his game. He's great at shooting on the legs.
Stay on the shot, stay on the shot.
Coach's eye view here. Jimmy Humphrey, head coach.
Ooh, a nice duck under attempt there. Now he's in again on that low single. He's going to come out back door once he secures those legs. He needs to hang on to that ankle, and there's a takedown, and Sarkeesian put his head on the mat. He might have broken the will of the Soviet with that move. Sarkeesian seemingly has good position, and Smith just turns it around and uses it against him. That's Smith's biggest advantage. He is an unorthodox wrestler. It's very tough to read him.
And he's aggressive. He keeps coming at you. You think he's getting off, and all of a sudden he's back in on the leg again. The crowd coming alive now. They sense a victory here. 1 minute and 14 seconds to go. The Soviets, a dominant force in international wrestling and freestyle of late. The last 30 years, they've been the top team in the World Games and the Olympics.
Smith doesn't want to go near that out-of-bounds line. He'd rather stay in the middle. He only has one caution against him. Thus far, the Sarkeesian has not been cautioned. He should score from here. The Soviet on his knees, but perhaps Smith doesn't want to take any chances, doesn't want to go lunging after his opponent. Less than a minute. But a lot of times your best defense is your good offense, and Smith has a good one. He's great at shooting on that leg, and again, he's in on it.
He drops down, trying to get down in between. He has to get behind to score. Put Sarkeesian down on the mat. Tremendous leverage on the knee there. They may stop this action. 33 seconds to go. Smith has the only caution in the match, but right now he has Sarkeesian tied up.
If he could score here, this could be icing on the cake, and there he does it. He's been awarded that point. He's out in front now, 4-0. He's looking at his corner. He had a smile on his face. The coach is screaming, stay intense. It's not over yet. It's not over. Smith needs one more time to stay aggressive.
Well, he's only 23 years old. He could be a real force for USA Wrestling for a long, long time. Throwing Sarkeesian off to the side, jumping up and down. Wow, what a win.
That's going to do it. That's going to do it. Sarkeesian doesn't even try an attack, and Smith has won the Olympic Games.
Woo! That was great. That's been a great job. Woo! Yeah!
All right. A little bit of a show, but he deserves it. John Smith with a victory over Stepan Sarkisian of the Soviet Union. Using a mixture of technique, stamina, and heart, John Smith wins again. He's the Olympic champion, 136.5 pounds.
Rusty's done it all. NCAA champion, world champion, Olympic champion.
And he may not be done yet. He may not be done yet. Look at his dad. A proud moment for him. Jimmy Humphrey.
Great. That's
Great. Joe Wells.
Woo. Great champion.
Here's the difference, Jeff.
Smith in on his leg attack. This is what he's noted for, being able to turn around, countering that Soviet's attempt to get out of this maneuver, scoring the takedown. Excellent job, and here, again in on the legs of the Soviet. Sarkisian hanging on to the ankle, but it's in vain. Smith spinning around behind, scoring yet another takedown.
Well, it wasn't automatic. People expected it. He puts on the USA hat, gives it a fling. John Smith is the Olympic champion, the first one for the USA at 136.5 pounds.
This NBC Sports presentation of the games of the 24th Olympiad is brought to you by the Heartbeat of America Today Chevrolet, by United Airlines, airline of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team, and by Kodacolor Gold Film. Show your true colors on Kodacolor Gold Film, the official film of the 1988 Olympic Games.
If you missed something this morning, fear not. Our coverage continues this afternoon. Ahmad Rashad, then tonight with Brian Gumbel, and of course late night with Bob Costas. Lots coming up. Here's a preview. NBC's coverage of the games of the 24th Olympiad continues later this afternoon. We'll go to Olympic Park for the graceful beauty of rhythmic gymnastics, making its second Olympic appearance at these games. Then tonight, it's men's volleyball. The undefeated U.S. team faces Brazil in the semifinal. In tennis, it's the men's finals. American Tim Mayotte battles Czechoslovakia's Miloslav Machir for the first gold medal in tennis in 64 years. We'll have more track and field. Great Britain's Steve Cram and world record holder Saeed Owita of Morocco run on the semifinals of the 1,500 meters. Then is synchronized swimming. American Tracy Ruiz Conforto edged out Canadian Carolyn Waldo for the gold in 84. They're back and heading for another showdown in the finals of the individual event. Finally, in the late night, it's the finals of the grueling men's 3,000-meter steeplechase. And it's the finals of the 4x400 relay. The U.S. swept the medals in the men's 400 meters. They send a powerful team into the finals. All today as our Olympic coverage continues.
A lot to look forward to coming up over the next few programs. Jimmy and I will be back with you tomorrow morning, but Jane is going back home. And you'll be back next week?
On Monday morning, I will be reunited with John Palmer and Willard Scott and Gene Shalit, whom I have not seen in entirely too long, and I very much look forward to seeing you. But I'll miss you guys. Be honest. Oh, great. We're doing the Olympic coverage in the morning with Jane Pauley, that famous...
We never said that. We never said
No, but I could see it. It's been great.
We've had a good time, and I know you've had some moments to take back with you to remember.
Yeah, I've seen quite a lot. I'm very grateful that I saw John Louganis win his springboard diving gold. I am very grateful that I did not see Greg Louganis hit his head on the springboard the day before in the preliminaries. I will regret forever that I will never see Dmitry Bilazerchev do his 6 one-arm giants that he was going to do when he had that little problem on the high bar. I saw Janet Evans win a gold medal, I think, but she's so small and so fast it's hard to say if I saw it or not. And I saw FloJo break her world record there at the stadium this morning in the semifinals. And boy, I saw a lot of world-class athletics.
You sure did. Not only on the field, but also, what was your perception of Korea? I know you did a lot of traveling around the city the last couple of weeks.
Not enough. For some place where I've been 3 weeks, the distraction was the games. I would love to come back and give my attentions to Seoul and Korea one day.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, We've had a great time here with you. You have a nice, safe trip back.
Carry on tomorrow.
Julie and I will be back with you tomorrow. We leave you, of course, with something as we always do. In a competition like the Olympics, there are images that linger even after the scores and the times have faded into the pages of history. They are moments of glorious victory or painful defeat. They are moments that are the result of years of work and sacrifice. Here are such moments for the American athlete.